Hi, I'm Sascha and I'm the host of I'm Your Coach. If you have followed the last episodes, you know that I'm a coach myself, and we have been speaking about personal development and coaching a couple of times over the last months. And I've realized whenever I speak to potential clients and other people about personal development and coaching, it's not very often clear to them what exactly that means. So I thought, what would be better than to invite a professional, experienced coach to discuss the topic of coaching in detail. So I'm very happy to have with me today Pierre-Jean de Jonge. Hello, Pierre-Jean.
Hello, Sascha.
So Pierre-Jean is the president of the Leading and Coaching Academy and master certified coach of the ICF, the International Coaching Federation. He's a pioneer of coaching in Europe and has accompanied more than 2,000 persons over the last 30 years and is one of the most trained coaches in Europe. Furthermore, he has written or co-written several books on coaching and personal development and was president of the International Coaching Federation Belgium between 2002 and 2004. So, Pierre-Jean, before getting into details, how would you explain to our audience what coaching is?
Well, coaching, first of all, is a profession. Can be also other things, but it is a profession which is recognized since a few years, and it's characterized by a relationship between a coach and a coachee. This relationship is contractual. It means that you can coach someone when you have a contract to coach a person. We can see in the world that from time to time, some people are doing coaching without any contract, and this is damageable. So it's a contract about someone that finds a coach to help him develop some certain things in his life, personal, relational, or professional. And the coach is accompanying the coachee through questioning, through mirroring. And the very special thing about coaching is that a coach never gives advices, because the belief is that we are all different and we cannot advise people on what they should do because they are different. But we can help them finding their solutions, helping them finding what are their blind spots, finding them to find what are their way of thinking that makes that from time to time they are successful and sometimes not. So it's really a very positive process where both people are independent. The coach needs to be neutral, and it is the coachee who has the responsibility on his change.
Okay. So if you compare it to other forms of help, like psychotherapy or mentoring or consulting,
yeah.
How would you distinguish coaching from those?
So consulting is very easy. There is one person who is specialized in a certain topic and who gives advice. I can give you consulting on marketing or on finance or on colors, on feng shui, on plenty of things where I am a specialist and I give you advice. That's for consulting. For psychotherapy, first of all, you have a word which is therapy. It means that helps people that are wounded, or people that are at a certain moment a bit insane. So you need to have someone who helps you healing yourself. And it is a healing process where therapists spend a part of the time and a long part of the time in the past. What has caused the problem and how do they live there in order to get out of there. The mentoring is a different thing. A mentor is a relationship between a mentor and a mentee, where the mentor has more experience than the mentee in life or in his business, and who gives advices based on his experience. And mentee is also thus a relationship where the person is supposed to know and to give advice. And that is very different. The three of them has a total different approach of the relationship, because in coaching, the coaches don't believe they know for the others, and they will not give advice. And we spend a bit of time to understand the past of the person in order to know where they are now, how they function at the moment, and where do they want to go. And then we are going to work on the present in order to shape a new future, which is very different than in the other relationships.
Yes. And as you said before, you use this by asking questions, right?
Yeah, a part is asking questions, another is mirroring about what the people say, mirroring about what people, discrepancies between what they say and what they show, the non-verbal communication.
Yes. So there's also a difference to sports coaching, for example.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I would say that sports coaching is very close to counseling or mentoring, because they know about, when you are the coach of a sportsman, you give advice. When you are the coach of a soccer team, you are telling the strategy. You are taking people in or out of the pitch. And you alone take that decision, which is not at all and that is a bit confusing, because the world coaching is a lot understood, first of all, from sports. So people believe coaching is about giving advice, which is not the case, certainly not for ICF. I know that in many other schools or trends, coaches give advice. ICF is very strict about that. We don't give advice. But I understand the confusion.
Yeah, because I see that also when I talk to clients or potential clients. Very often they come and they ask for tips and tricks how to achieve this in their life. For example, how to better communicate to someone, or to how to become a better job or whatever, to get a better job. And then I always have to tell them, look, it's not me to tell you what to do. Yeah.
And in fact, what you say is very interesting, because many people come and ask for advice. Why? Because it's easy. Give me the advice, and if you do it and it's successful, great. But if it's not your fault, it's my fault, because I gave you the wrong advice. We coaches believe that you have to be responsible for your own acts. So we could work on several suggestions where you take the decisions on what you will do. And the less suggestions we give, the better it is. But if we give, we should give at least 3, so that you really have a choice.
Yes.
And the reason why we don't do that is because we want the autonomy for the coachee. If I give you an advice, you are not autonomous, you are depending on me, on my advice. If I am your coach, I will go a certain way with you, but you will take your own decisions, and you make your own decisions and choices, which makes that you don't depend on me for the future. So we help people grow to get bigger, bigger is not certainly what I would mean, but to get wiser.
Yes. Yeah, which makes it great, because the idea is to make them responsible and autonomous for their own life, and not be relying on you in the future.
Exactly.
So the idea of a coaching agreement is not that they stay with you for 7 years, but maybe 7 sessions or 10 or 15 or whatever it is.
In fact, it's not a question of sessions. It's a question of what is the objective. And whether it takes 3 sessions or 20 sessions to get the objective, it's not important. The relationship coach-coachee stands as long as we work on the objective. Once the objective is attained, the coaching should be stopped. But I already had in my life some people that 3 or 4 years later came with another objective. But in coaching, the number of sessions depends on the speed of the coachee to get to his objective.
Yes.
And we never know that.
And we cannot guarantee a result.
No, what I guarantee is that if you were in coaching with me, I would say, if you do what you have decided to do in our sessions, you will have your result. But I cannot guarantee that you will do it. But why can I do that? Because I will, when I am your coach, I have about 12 points that I need to check when you have an objective. I want it to be under your control. If you have your objectives in your life which are not under your control, you are never sure that you will get it. But if you have an objective which is under your control and that you have a strategy that you are able to follow, why wouldn't you get your result? And that's why we are in a partnership where you have objectives that you want to get in your life, and I'm there in the process to support that you do what you need to do to get your objective. And if you do that, I guarantee you will get it.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the few points where you have a relationship to sports coaching.
Yeah.
Because you cannot expect to take a sports coach and the sports coach does the work and you get the results. So here it's the same. The sports coach maybe tells you what to do. That's the difference. But you have to do the exercises and you have to do the work.
Yeah.
It's not like you say you do the sports for me and I get the good body. And there it's a little bit the same. You have to do the work and it's up to you to create your results for you.
Yes. And the pity in sports is that and certainly if you are in a team, you have to apply the strategy that the trainer decided, even if you don't agree with the strategy. Because that's the job of the trainer to decide the strategy. Some trainers can discuss about that with the players before, some don't listen to. But happily, we are not here to talk about sport, coaching in sports, because it's for me a very different topic. But we can talk about coaching in personal relationship or development coaching, which is really something very different.
Yeah. Where for you lies the power of coaching? What makes it so powerful or so?
I would say that for me, there are two things. As a coachee and as a coach. As a coachee, what I really loved about coaching, being coached, is that I am discussing with a person that listened to me, which is not many cases the case in my life. People decide for you, they say you should do this or you should do that. They are judging what you do right or wrong, but they don't try to understand you and to support you. So there is an attitude of we feel listened to, we feel supported, and we have someone that is critical, but critical only with a positive eye. He helps us to grow. And you get there a relationship of confidence, of trust, and of feeling that you are in a partnership to get a result. And I loved that. And I loved that I was responsible for my own choices. And that nobody was there to tell me you should do this or you should do that. What do you want? What do you want to get? How would you want to do that? Wow. That was for me a total difference than what I heard when I was young, at home or at school. That is as a coachee. As a coach, I love my job of coach, and I try to be as much as possible with a coaching attitude in my life, because I don't need to give advices to others. And this is great, because I have enough with my life than being responsible for the lives of others. So if people want support or help, I'm really ready to listen to them, to try to understand them, and to help them finding their own solutions, which I do with my kids. Since they are 10, 11 or 12, I try to be as less showing the way as possible, because they are different and I don't know what will be their way. So I'm a guide, but I'm not a director. Yeah. And in my life, it has taken me a lot of responsibility out of my shoulders, because I take responsibility of my life.
Yeah, we have the tendency usually to know better, or what is better for other people.
But that's a big mistake. How can we? I'm married since 33 years with my wife, and I know her quite well, I think. But I don't know what's happening inside of her head or her heart, and I don't know what she feels. So how can I know what she needs at a certain moment? It's a fantasy. And that is what we called in coaching or in NLP a limiting belief. But people think that limiting belief are the reality, and that is the big mistake.
Yeah, very interesting. How did you come to coaching then? Because you do it for 30 years, so I guess you were one of the first, certainly in Belgium, maybe in Europe.
Yeah.
So how did you end up with coaching?
Well, to make it short, the first part of my life was not really happy. I know that I was raised up in a family that was healthy, wealthy, and where I didn't need anything financially or materially, but I think that I was in a family that was a lot, I wouldn't say autistic, but the communication was really terrible, because nobody knew about communication, nobody was interested in psychology, and so I felt unhappy, I felt not loved. I was sent in a boarding school when I was 7, and until I was 29, I was asking myself, what am I doing here on earth? I didn't understand the difference. I was so different than others that I say, am I crazy? Are the others crazy? I didn't know. So I started a therapy. And the therapy was in transactional analysis, which was fantastic for me because I discovered psychology, which I loved. And after a few years of individual and group therapy, I felt this is not really what I need. I have grown, but I need to do something else. And in fact, when I started my job as an independent in 1981 or 2, I was in a congress where I met John Whitmore. And John Whitmore was the pioneer of coaching in Europe. And when I was talking about what I was doing, he said, but you are doing coaching. And I said, no, John, I don't coach. I know what is coaching. We knew each other because he was an international racer, and I was a previous international in squash and field hockey. So there was an association of all the sports internationals. And he said, but I said, because coaching is totally different. And then he told me, yes, coaching in sports is very different. But in the business and in personal development, in fact, what you are doing is coaching. I didn't know. So I started to say, hey, that's not bad. And then I really said to myself, when I'm going now to look for people that help me to grow, I don't want mentor or therapists anymore. I want coaches. I want people that help me to grow and finding the solutions inside of myself. Mm-hmm. So that's the way. It was really thanks to therapy that I first made my first changes, which I think saved my life. And then, in order to grow, it's thanks to coaching that I've grown up the most.
Yeah. And how would you say you have changed?
Oh, no, maybe totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, first of all, physically, I'm not the same than when I was 7 or even 20. I think that the ground of my personality is the same, but the way I act is very, very different. I have much more control on myself. I know what are my defaults, and I can, most of all, and many times, control them. From time to time, not. In French, we say chasser le naturel, il revient au galop. So from time to time, my weakness come back, but much less than before. I have gained confidence in myself. I'm able to do certain things, and I'm able that I can change, and I know that I can learn and that I can see the world differently. I have gained a lot of tolerance because I understood that we are all different. And so if I am different, others are different, and I have to accept others like they are. And then I can choose after that if I want to work or live with them or not. But the fact that you have tolerance for the way of other people to live and think and act is really, for me, a big change, because when I was young, I thought there was one good way to act and a wrong way to act, which now I understand it's not at all. It depends on cultures, it depends on groups, and so my tolerance has grown a lot, even if I have my preferences, which is different.
Yeah, and it's actually a message that is even more up to date today than or as up to date as it was 30 or 60 years ago. Huh?
And probably will stay all life, because you have people of different colors, you have people of different religions, you have men and women, you have older and you have youngers, and you have people that are rational and people that are irrational. And we have to live in an environment where people are very different than us. In Belgium here, I'm really happy to have a bilingual background with a Flemish mother and a French speaking father, because one of the richness of Belgium is that difference of culture. And I don't understand from certain cultures where that believe that their culture is better than others. It is, and it will be the same for years and years and years. Even if we have access to internet and to plenty of information for all, we always will be different. And the richness of a relationship is the difference.
Yeah, and it's what makes life interesting and what makes us grow. If we are all the same, we think the same, we feel the same, then there is no growth in there.
No.
For you, in all these 30 years and even more of personal development and coaching, is there one thing that you said or that you learned about yourself where you said, okay, this changed something in me or about me completely? Or 2 or 3 maybe, but something that was really profound for you, a profound change where you say, okay, afterwards I was not the same person when I understood that?
I'm not sure I understood what you said. Is it one situation?
Yeah, or something that you learned about yourself where you said, okay, when I understood that about myself, or when I learned that, I could not be the same person. I was not the same person than before.
One thing is just what I've said before about tolerance and about the fact that we are only responsible for ourselves and not for others, and so that those people are not responsible for me neither. When I was young, and even until 30, I think 30, 35, I was angry when people were giving advices to me without me asking. Because I said, but shit, who do they think they are to give me advices? I didn't ask anything. Now with with everything I've studied about coaching and about transactional analysis and so on, I have understood that people that gave me advice, they had a good intention. They wanted to help me. But I was angry because I didn't feel autonomous. I felt like I was dependent on them. They don't know that. They didn't study that. So once I understood that, I said, I don't need to be angry, and I can see the positive part of people giving me advices without me asking for them. And I say, hey, great, they want to help me. Thank you for your advice. And I can do about it what I want. But I don't need to be angry because they want to help me. But I was so determined to decide by myself that I even didn't notice that they have a positive intention. That's a big change.
Yeah. And so if you look back now, you're done. There's nothing more for you to learn.
Oh, no, I'm here. I'm done. A steak can be done. I'm not. No, there are so plenty things. So many things that we can learn. I can learn about hundreds and hundreds of topics in the world, but I always can learn about myself. Because every relationship I have with people is a mirror of part of myself. And so when things are going well, I can learn about why is it well. And when it doesn't work well, I have my own responsibility. So it's I can learn about that and say, hey, how come here I have a problem with that person, which is my responsibility, and I can learn about that. And I can learn about what I like and not in my life, and my successes and my failures. And we all have failures. So the world is the biggest and the cheapest seminar on earth. You can learn every day.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we learn more from our failures than we usually learn from our successes. No.
That depends. Some people learn from successes and not from failures. Some people learn from failures and not from successes. I believe we can learn from both. And failure are as important as success, but not more. Because learn from success is important because I can learn a lot by what did I do in order to have a success here so that I can repeat it. And when I have a failure, what did I do or not do so that I had a failure and in order not to repeat it. So both are important. That's why in Buddhism they are not talking about success and failures, and they talk about experience.
Yes, yeah.
Everything is an experience, and every experience is a way, an opportunity to learn.
Yes, it's what they say. Apparently Nelson Mandela said, I never lose, I either win or learn.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's a very beautiful attitude to life as such, in order to grow, to get up again.
Yeah.
So if I understand you correctly, and I think that's a very valid statement, is personal development and coaching never ends. The way is the goal in a certain way, no? Of course.
Jean Gabin disait, je sais une chose, c'est que je ne sais pas. And the day that you think you know, and certainly for others, that's dangerous. Maybe we can know for ourselves, maybe, but certainly never for others. But for myself, I would say I don't know, because the world is in constant evolution. So what I know about me today can change. So I believe that it's always important to be open to the changes in the world in order to be in alignment with the change in the world. Yeah. So we learn is a constant. Life is a constant learning for me.
Yeah, it's a system. We change, the world changes, so there's constant change, and so there's always something to learn. There's always something to well, learn about yourself, or to adopt, or to do differently than maybe you did 20 years ago, or 5 years ago, or even 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, and also because I'm getting older, I don't have the same needs, beliefs. Physically, I've changed, and I cannot do the same. Mentally, I changed. Emotionally, I've changed. So the state of being a bachelor, being married, being a father, being a grandfather makes you different too. So our attitudes are changing. I don't have the same attitude with my grandchildren than with my children. So growing all the time.
Yeah. And if you going away again from you, if you look outside, as we live in a world that is changing faster and faster for the moment, you see also there's a huge need for coaching, or you see more needs for coaching for the moment?
One of the reasons that the coaching is very successful now, it is because it's very powerful, and people that are coached by good coaches get their result. So there are more and more people that ask for coaching. That's one thing. The second thing is everything is changing so quickly and so deeply, because in technology, we cannot follow anymore, and we need to go faster and faster and faster and take decisions that where do we have the time to really think about the decisions that we take, and in so many domains that we cannot control everything. So we need to confront our point of view with others. And you cannot always, in a business, you cannot always confront with people from your own company. So it's good to have someone from outside that is neutral. In a wedding, in a family, it's not always the best to talk with certain people from your own family if you want to have a neutral advice, or not advice, or point of view. So I believe that people are going to get more and more open to coaching, because it is a way that we can have a more added value, and not only our view of the world.
And for the moment, when you coach yourself, what are the main topics that you find are coming up?
You know, every coach is different. I have in fact 3 big topics. I coach in the business. I coach a lot of owners of company, of managers of big companies, where they ask about leadership coaching. They ask about stress management coaching. They ask about being challenged on their ideas. That is for me, and that is for individuals. And then you have team coaching, which is a very special topic. The second domain where I work is individual coaching, personal development, or in life or in career. I do a lot of. I have a lot of people who are after 40 years old, and they are a bit fed up of their life. Women that kids are not at school anymore, and they have not worked, and they say, what am I going to do about my life now? Because I always took care about my husband and my kids, and now I need to take care about myself, and I never learned how to do that. Or men that were working hard and hard and hard in order to get a promotion, and they realize they are forgetting an important part of their life, which is the equilibrium between professional and private life, and we work on that. And a third topic, which I love, is relational coaching in couples, or relationship between parents and kids, or in the business, relationship between certain people. classic thing, a financial and a commercial, that they don't have the same objectives and they can fight a bit each other, don't understand in the business, and help them to understand what is the world of the other person in order to collaborate. And I love relational coaching.
And do you feel that people are more willing to put themselves into question nowadays?
Much more than 20 years ago, yes. I would say that 30 years ago I felt alone. It looks like I'm the only one who wants that, and now I see dozens and hundreds and thousands of people that are open. And if you look, people are going to seminars on pleine conscience. People are going to communication training. People are much and more open on being healthy. On being better in better relationship, communication non-violente, non-violent communication. Yes. So the world is more and more conscious that there is other things that only profession and money.
Yeah, there's also another way to solve problems or to get forward that is a little bit more reflective, rather than maybe I go my way, I have my idea, and there's only one way to do it.
Probably that many people have understood that we cannot be happy alone. And we don't know everything alone. We need to share. We need to share knowledge. We need to share friendship and love.
That's a wonderful word. Where we can actually nearly close our interview. As usually, I always ask one last question. If there's one tip or advice you would give to the audience, what they could do, for example, something that you really liked, something that really inspired your book or course, whatever, what would that be?
To get what?
Well, to work on themselves, to get to be more happy, or to grow in a certain way, something that they could do.
First of all, I don't like to give advices, but I would say be open to all the changes in the world. Be open all the new techniques that exist to know yourself better, to know the others better, to have better relationships, and revisit your belief on what is important and not in your life, because we have been raised with the culture of our family and the environment in which we have been brought up, and there is much more than that in life. So be open on difference, be open on development, and love is shared. And I believe that if love is the petrol that you put in your car, if you are a person, the best petrol is love, because that is what brings you the most happiness in life. And is there anything more important than happiness? For me, no.
Great. Thank you very much, Pierre-Jean.
My pleasure.
If you would like to know more about Pierre-Jean and his work, or about his company Leading and Coaching Academy, check out their websites lc-academy.eu. As usual, all information will also be available on Facebook, on the site of I Am Your Coach, facebook.com/humanconnector, which I invite you to follow for regular updates on the show. For more information about myself, you can follow me on my social media accounts or check out my website ikigai-coaching.eu. I am Sascha and I am your coach.